as we continue worshiping this morning, first Sunday of the month, as we've been doing all year. We're sharing stories. This year, New Denver Church turns 10 years old. And we're going to celebrate. We have a big celebration coming up this fall. You'll hear more about that in a little bit. But every month, we're taking time to tell stories and to celebrate what God has done through those 10 years, through the people and through partnerships and all the different ways that God has been working. This morning, I'm really excited to have a couple who's part of our church and really instrumental in the early years to come and share with us. So Erik and Kristen Berger, if you guys want to go ahead and start making your way forward. Erik and Kristen, I'm going to ask them when they were here because I'm old and I forgot what years they were here, and they all run together. So I would say they were here from this time to this time, but I honestly can't. It all runs together. So Erik and Kristen, when did you guys first come to New Denver Church, and then how long were you guys here?
We were here in 2010 to 2013. And we came out for residency. I was an internal medicine resident at St. Joe's Hospital, and originally I'm from Georgia, and Kristen's from Florida.
So tell me the story as you think back. How did you guys find us, and then what caused you to kind of get connected and to stick and make New Denver Church your home?
We went to North Point, so that's where you and Norton had worked before. And we knew Colorado was a whole other beast coming out here. It's very different from the South. And I think we were just looking for something somewhat familiar as we were looking at different churches. And so we had New Denver on our radar. We had tried a couple before. We actually didn't, church hunting is no fun for anybody. You just feel like a consumer, you feel picky, you feel weird. And it's just awkward. So we went through that. And the South, yes, thank you, it's so true. And so the South is just different from Colorado, and we didn't have a great experience, I'll just say that. We didn't find people as friendly, but we're also leaving, we've been in Atlanta for 7 years together. It's a long time, so a big change. And I was pregnant with our first child. I literally had her 3 weeks after we moved here, so it was a big time of transition for us. And so when we came here, I remember we visited a church early that morning, and y'all were meeting only at 5 at that time. And so we liked it. We liked the preaching. People weren't friendly, but at least the preaching was good. So I was like, that's lit. Be honest. And then we came here, and there's something, I've always loved this building. I love that it's an old church. It's very, I know some people don't like the feel of the church, maybe of that. I had a great church experience growing up, so I loved the pews. We used to have pews, and I loved the old feel of it. And y'all noticed that we showed up. So I remember Jason Malik came and said hey to us, super friendly. We met Norton. I don't know if we met you that time, but we met 2 of the 3 pastors. And then Jason, I think that night, took us out to pizza. And he's like, we kind of even told him about our weird church visiting experience. He's like, hey, this isn't the church for you if you're looking for these things. He just wanted to help us find a church. And so that automatically was endearing to us. So I think there was an element of familiarity, of being seen and noticed, and just, I don't know, you get a feel when you walk into a place. So it was very positive.
Yeah. And Erik, I would love to hear from you. During that time, I remember you were working super hard as a resident and kind of in and out. What was that like, to have a place where your family can come on Sunday and really feel at home? And tell me about that from your perspective.
Yeah, it was tremendous. A sense of community. We think about coming to church on Sundays, but the community that we built when we were here, we were so in touch with so many people, and so I was not here as much as Kristen did at work, and just knowing that we had a community that we were building, knowing that we would probably be here for a temporary time, it was just amazing. It gave me so much confidence. And the first 3 years, especially the first year, like Kristen had told you, we had our first child about 3 weeks after we moved here, and then my father passed away suddenly too when that first year we moved, and we didn't have any family here, and having that community was really made the difference. It was amazing, really.
So another significant part about the Berger story and a significant role that they played was when we first came and started the church, we had this strong conviction theologically that really gifts should lead in terms of how people play a role in the church. And so as Kristen got involved and began leading mobs, we just saw she was a leader and that she was somebody who had a lot of gifts to bring. And so we nominated her to go through the elder process, and she ended up becoming our first elder, or female elder, local female elder here at New Denver Church. Tell me a little bit about that process from your perspective and what it was like, both being invited into that, but then your time as an elder, as you reflect back, what was that like?
So I came from a reform background, and I would say I'm still there at heart. And so we came to New Denver, and I loved getting involved, and I use my voice when I have a chance. So love that. And then I got a call from Norton about, would you want to be an elder? And my jaw dropped. I was like, what? This is new territory. And I was telling Eric as we had a little heads up on some of the questions, but it was literally a blend of uncomfortable and exciting. Those are the two things I felt, because I felt like I want to do this, but should I do this? Is this biblical? I mean, that was something I wrestled with, because the churches I grew up in and I went to and we went to before New Denver, you didn't have women elders, you didn't have women up here. I mean, they led in their own way, but it wasn't that term elder. That's such a heavy word to me. But I think, I remember reaching out and asking for, okay, tell me where you're coming from, biblically with this, and you had that whole position paper, and it really made me, it challenged my position on that. And I still have not landed. I mean, women in leadership is such a big beast, but I felt like there was enough evidence that, and even just, I want to, and it's kind of like a board of directors, you're helping steer the ship. And so I felt like I could be a piece of that and move forward with it. But that was definitely not something I anticipated. And I had a great experience. My brother's a church planner, and so I think the blend of that with being in the early years in New Denver, it is just so hard leading a church. And I have so much compassion for y'all as leaders. The fact that you're here 10 years later is amazing, and that's a huge praise God. Yes, amen. And so I love being here and seeing how you're still going and growing. But I think what I really appreciated was just the ability to shift and go with things. I mean, I think in the first year I was there, was the first female, and then Jason transitioned. We had changes in the children's department. We brought in a MOPS, which I was huge, so excited for. But you can only do so many things, and even choosing what you do as leaders is a big decision, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And so I think even seeing you as leaders and with Bruce, just roll with it, pray about things, readjust. I appreciated how that went, and I was thankful to be a part of it. I learned a lot. And it was, sometimes I'm like, should I say something now, or do I even know what to say? But I think just being on the team, I loved being on the team. That's what it felt like, it was being on the team.
Your supportive voice and your wisdom was really helpful during that time. And you're right, it is hard. I mean, I remember making decisions about what we were going to do, and you were a big part of that. Last question. I would love to know, I mean, this is sort of the hindsight 2020 thing, right? Like as you guys have, God's taken you guys out of Colorado and then back, and you guys have been part of other communities. As you look back on the season that you were here at New Denver Church, what are some things maybe that you're grateful for that God did through this community, or maybe even continues to do? You mentioned some of the relationships you still have, so either one of you or both, feel free.
So again, go back to community. A lot of the relationships that we've built here, you don't know where life's going to take you, and you don't know what's going to happen. And we still maintain so many friendships with our small group. There was that first small group that we had. We still keep in touch with a lot of people. We have a special couple too that was the Newts that were here. We had our second child. There were some scares with her. We didn't know that if she was going to make it, and we had our small group rally around us, and it was, again, just boils down to community. And if you have the opportunity to get involved in small groups, I would encourage you. Coming here on Sundays is wonderful, but the life lessons, the relationships that you build only in a small group that you can have in that intimate setting, would really encourage you to get involved.
We'll talk about being to my baby, and I just cried. That was a really pivotal time. I remember standing up here helping with worship with Brian, and y'all had been on the men's retreat, and Erik had it on his heart to pray and fast for a little girl. And they prayed for her, and he had me walk down. He's like, I want to lay hands on you, I'm going to pray for her. And nothing I'd ever experienced before. We had just a really scary round of ultrasounds, and we didn't know that, again, a long story, but she was going to come out alive. And he prayed for her, and we didn't even know them that well at that time. We love them forever now. But, we really believe God did a miracle, because even after that, we had another scare, and I had to have a CT scan. A small group was, I just remember that one night, everybody was there, and we were at the Gressley's house, and everybody just prayed so hard for us. And Morgan is just a beautiful, full of life, little almost 7-year-old now. We actually had her first birthday party upstairs right before we left. So God is with us forever. It is. And what's interesting, and I'll go back to the leadership piece, we had, when the church was smaller, it was the Gressleys, the Peters, the Ersts, and us. And we loved our small group. You know, you get happy, you don't want anyone else coming in, you don't want anyone leaving. You hit that happy place where you can share everything, or you think you will. And then the church grew. And then in come the Steeles, and come the Moots, and come the Woods, and come a few other families. And I remember we went to dinner, and Norton's like, okay, we probably need, here's some options, but we don't have as many leaders, and we need to make room for these new couples. And I remember not wanting our group to change, but thinking from a leadership perspective, you've got to divide us. You've got to use the people here, because they were all leader couples. And from that, we ended up meeting at the same house, but doubled in size. We split into 2 groups at the Gressleys, because they have a nice big house. And I remember that's when we met the Moots. That's how we became closer with them. And so then they could speak into that and be a part of that with us, and the Woods were part of that too. And so it's just amazing, that you have those pivotal points where you have to make a change, and there's growing pains in that. But the good that came out of that for us personally was significant. So I think that's
That's such a great word and reminder, because I think for those of us who come and find community, sometimes it can be that thing you want to hold on to, but there's always new people in. I mean, you guys, the Moots, the Gressleys, they've all moved on, and so we all have to make space in our hearts and in our lives for other people. So that's such a great example that you guys showed. Well, you guys are always part of our family. We love the season you guys spent with us, and are so grateful for you guys. Let's give a quick round of applause.